Previously on TheSalawag, why it's great, gut reaction. One of the themes of The Walking Dead that I love is, what is a leader? How do you define leadership? And that theme is expressed through the Rick and Shane relationship. Because Shane is the paternal, reactive leader who will take the bull by the horns. As soon as something needs to happen, he'll do it. Well, Rick is more of a diplomatic leader. He will try every which way not to have to engage that bull if he doesn't need to. And we see the consequences of those two ways of being. That really the right leadership is some proper mix of the two. But where that lies can only be told through time. But one of the key episodes that represents that theme is when in season 2 they're staying at the farm and they discover that barn on Herschel's farm is full of zombies. It's full of walkers. And Shane decides to bust it open and start killing every single walker, even though they know that even though Herschel's clearly out of touch with the moment, that Herschel believes that they're still alive and that they're just sick. And so while Shane is he's still kind of right. He's still got the right idea. And the way he goes about it is so aggressive and so brutal. And it only further turns Herschel away from him, being able to see him as someone he can follow as a leader. And the sad tragedy is that once they've killed most of the walkers, the last walker that walks out is Carol's daughter, who was missing for the whole season that they've been looking for. Literally, Daryl got shot in the head because he came all messed up out of the woods looking for her and didn't find anything, but he just came out so messed up that Andrea, who became an increasingly worse written character over the 3 seasons she's in the show, great actress, terrible writing. I'm sorry, I hated how she changed. She went from a very smart character in her first episode to being a very dumb character in season 3, which I'm just like, that is not Frida from Blink Twice. That is just dumb blonde shit. Okay, it doesn't make any sense. Governor's clearly creepy. Get out of here. But anyway, but when we get to that last walker walking out and it's Carol's daughter, all of a sudden Shane can't pull the trigger. You know, he's so mixed with emotion, and the truth is that's kind of the core of his character being exposed, where yes, he is active, he takes the bull by the horns, but it's a purely emotional reaction, and that has its limitations. And in that moment, Rick realizes that no one else will shoot her, and that he has to make the choice, because he is actually the leader. It's what he's been calling himself, but he also knows something needs to be done in this moment. And so while Shane, for all of his talk, can't actually do the thing he says needs to be done in that moment, that's when Rick reveals, I am the guy who will pull the trigger when it has to be done. And that's really the defining character of leadership, is that, and I learned this also in Beast Wars. I loved that cartoon growing up, but one of the very first issues of that show, in the first 2 episodes, is the band of characters surrounding the leaders don't agree with the leader. When the Predacons have the Maximals cornered in that first episode, and Optimus Primal tries to tell Rat Trap, hey, you run down into the valley and draw their fire, so that, and he doesn't tell him so that I can fly up and get them, but he's telling him what to do. And Rat Trap is no, I'm not going to draw their fire, you're crazy, I'm gonna die. And because he refuses, Optimus has to take flight and then draw the fire himself, and then he just gets shot. And Rat Trap says, I told you that's what would happen. And afterward, Optimus explains, no, if you had drawn their fire while staying in cover, I didn't tell you to just get yourself killed. If you'd drawn their fire, I would have been able to provide you better cover fire, since I have the bigger guns and the ability to fly. But because you didn't listen, it compromised our entire group. But Optimus did what needed to be done because his people wouldn't follow him. And for a Saturday morning cartoon, I think that's a very good example of trying to define to kids what is leadership. And the leader has to be the one who, if no one else will do it, he has to be willing to do it. Because you know you are the example to the rest of the group. If you don't do it, why should anyone else do it? And that's just the truth of leadership. And so that's what Rick is. And what I think is beautiful is that theme is subtly carried across with Daryl, where later on in the show, in The Walking Dead, there's another, I forgot who it is, there's another character who has to be killed because they become a zombie. And Rick is going to do it, but you see his hesitation. He's done with killing friends. And Daryl decides to do it. And Rick looks at him, and Daryl says, you know, you don't have to take all the hits. You don't have to do all the killing. And that is just a sign that Daryl understands Rick. He understands where Rick is coming from, and he's with him, and he's supporting him, and he's willing to do the thing that needs to be done. The example set by Rick, right? So that's where a leader can inspire others by example, and Daryl comes up as someone inspired, and who also takes the lead as is necessary.